In this video, we're going to be talking about the best laptops in 2021 for graphic design, and this is really going to be your ultimate guide. Not only am I going to walk you through the best laptops from a budget standpoint all the way up to premium high-end expensive laptops, but we're going to explain CPU, RAM, GPU, color accuracy, storage, everything you need to know to pick the graphic design laptop that will fit your needs and not break the bank. I mean, unless you want to. Let's get rocking. Right now, you're looking to buy a laptop. If you're self-employed or getting set up to transition to working for yourself, then you don't want to make this same frustrating mistake I did when starting my business, not keeping clean books for your business expenses, which ultimately saves you a lot of money on your taxes every year. Now, I've made some great improvements on keeping track of my expenses since then, but none of my efforts compare to using Found. Found is the sponsor of today's video, a full-featured business bank account, creating complete separation from your personal banking, providing you with a business checking account, a business debit card, and ATM access. I'm sorry, who are you? I'm your new business partner, G Money. Here to take care of some things, keep tabs on stuff around here like this new business card. Me ordering some stuff around here, sprucing up the place. Might snag a few things for myself while I'm at it. Anyway, Found is your all-in-one business income and expense tracker with automatic expense categorization, receipt capture, and note log so you can keep super clean books for tax season. You could even sign up for free today and get started with a big tax saving expense like the laptop you're looking to purchase. Come on, Ben, nothing's free. What's the catch? There's no catch. Found is free to sign up and use. Similar to other credit card companies, Found charges a small fee to merchants when you use your card at the point of purchase. It costs users nothing. Right, so when I purchased all these watches for Team Spirit Month, Fossil was charged a small fee. Yeah, exactly. Wait, I don't have company employees. Found is backed by the FDIC, so you get insured and real-time transaction notifications that keep you on top of any suspicious account activity. Yes, speaking of the FDIC, what's the stock symbol for GameStop? Anyway, in my book, the best thing about Found is the tax filing features. It comes with a custom tax bill calculator, dedicated tax savings account, intelligent tax withholding. So basically, you automatically pull money from your income that you make, and then it places it into a tax savings account. And then also you have auto-generated Schedule Cs when tax season comes up. It's here.
Ask me what I'm doing, just grinding. Haters wanna hate, let them hate, never mind them. Be more Benz.
Company car? No. When it comes to using Found, make sure you have BER, Business Expense Responsibility. Sign up for free by clicking the link below and start creating clean, tax season ready books for your business. First and foremost, I want to walk you through what to expect in this video. We're going to see these laptops in ascending order from budget all the way up to premium, as I mentioned, and each laptop is going to be in a specific category, so best fit for each app and capabilities. And also, if you're curious about related videos, so best budget laptops, full in-depth deep dive into color gamut range or battery life, you can see those videos on my channel. So this channel is built for creative professionals, whether you're a graphic designer, video editor, motion designer, 3D model, or whatever it might be, this is the channel for you. Now, there's going to be timestamps in the description below, so you can jump to specific categories. And if you want to make a purchase or check the exact price point or availability of a laptop, you can head down in the description below and use one of those links. Now, if you do make a purchase of those links, I will get a small commission, but at no extra cost to you, and that's what keeps this channel alive and the helpful content coming your way. Now, do remember that these are my top picks. There's a lot of laptops on this lineup, but if the laptop that you're considering isn't on the lineup, feel free to comment below. I'm happy to interact there. Say, hey, yeah, that looks like a great laptop, or actually, I'd recommend this one, or maybe somebody in the community will answer you and give you some feedback and help you out as well. So definitely comment below if you don't see a laptop that you're considering on the lineup. All right, let's jump right into things here. Stay till the end of the video, like I said, because we're going to help you understand how to pick the right laptop. So by staying till the end of the video, you'll see my picks, and then you'll say, okay, now it makes sense. I understand why Ben chose those laptops. So we're going to talk about the CPU, the GPU, random access memory, or aka RAM, storage, color gamut range, and then of course at the end of each category are going to be honorable mentions. So maybe these aren't my absolute favorite picks, but they're ones that I still include because I think they're great laptops for graphic design. Now this video has been my best video year over year, so thank you for coming back here, and the feedback that you guys give is the reason this video continues to get better. So if you have any feedback or questions, or you want to see something included in the next rendition of this video, comment below and let me know. This video has been my most fun one to make year over year, and it's brought such good value to you guys when picking a graphic design laptop. So thanks for being a part of this one. First up is the low end of the budget range. These are going to be technically capable laptops, but these laptops are going to be under $1,000. Some are actually going to be under $500. They're going to have lower color accuracy. They're going to be slower on some of the more intensive tasks in Photoshop, such as maybe smart sharpen, noise reduction, saving a Photoshop file, like a massive one. I'm talking like 100 plus megabytes. Iris blur, field blur, resizing a photo to 500 megabytes might take 10 seconds rather than 5 seconds when shooting raw footage. So that's just kind of some parameters on this. These are going to be plastic builds or thin aluminum, and you're going to have less RAM, so maybe less multitasking. So, you know, if you're somebody who designs and you like to have Photoshop and InDesign open at the same time, or even all three, Photoshop, InDesign, and Illustrator, then it might struggle a little bit because you have less RAM, so the multitasking will be a little bit more difficult for some of these laptops, unless you upgrade the RAM to say 16 gigs. But we're going to get into all of that later in the video if you want to hang on till the end. Less storage, so you may need more external drives for backups when you're working on your designs. First laptop up on the list is Lenovo IdeaPad 3. This laptop comes with the AMD Ryzen 5 3500U, 4 cores, 8 threads, Radeon Vega 8 graphics, 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gig SSD, and a color gamut range of 56% sRGB and 36% Adobe RGB. So right off the bat, understand that these laptops are not going to be very color accurate, and that's going to be a struggle. I find that graphic designers find color accuracy very important, and so do I. So if you get this laptop, maybe you start out with it, and then you buy like a color accurate external monitor, do your color grading. I'll make some recommendations in the description below for color accurate monitors. But again, that's one of the issues when you make a laptop budget friendly, is they save money by giving you a less quality screen. So it has, maybe a lower brightness level. So maybe it can only reach 250 nits rather than maybe 300 to 500 nits. It also has a lower color gamut range, which means you're going to be less capable of doing really good color accurate designs. So that's why as you move up in the budget, the color accuracy will get better, as you'll see. All right, let's keep moving forward here. Next up is the HP Pavilion. This laptop comes with the Ryzen 5 4500U. This is the 4th generation of Ryzen's mobile processors. There will be coming out with the 5500U here soon, and so you can get into that. You have the AMD Radeon 6 graphics, 8 gigs of RAM, 512 gig SSD, but unfortunately the color gamut range is unknown on this laptop. But I will say that I'm guessing it's going to be around the 50 to 60% sRGB and 30 to 40% Adobe RGB because of the price. Next up, we have the Acer Swift 3. The Acer Swift 3 is one of my favorite laptops. I actually use this laptop as my daily driver. This is not a color accurate laptop, so it's not something that I do color grading on, but when I'm writing scripts on the go, when I'm doing, thumbnails on the go, when I maybe have to do a quick edit of some 1080p footage, this laptop has been a dream. It's an aluminum laptop. It's for around $650. It has the Ryzen 7 4700U with 8 cores and 8 threads, 8 gigs of RAM, 512 gig SSD. It's been a great laptop. And if you do end up getting into some video editing, this laptop will be capable of doing some 1080p editing on a light basis. Nothing crazy, maybe one main roll with a little bit of, motion graphics and stuff like that, but nothing outrageous. But great bang for buck laptop, aluminum build. I've really enjoyed this laptop for the past about year I've had it. Next up is the MSI Modern 15. So this laptop is the first laptop where we start to see a higher color gamut range. So we see 99% sRGB and 60% Adobe RGB. Now, I do want to mention that if you get this laptop, make sure you get the i7 version if you want this color accuracy. If you get the i5 version, you will not get the 99% sRGB. You will get, I want to say it's around 65% sRGB and like 40% Adobe RGB. So keep that in mind. This one comes with the NVIDIA GeForce MX 330. I'd recommend this one again for some 1080p video editing. You're gonna see this tag because for me, if you want to expand your clients, if you want to, get into some more like motion design or motion graphics, then these will be helpful to know if these laptops are capable for maybe doing some more video. I'm not going to go into it in depth. I have tons of videos on my channel about that, but I just wanted to mention this tag here. That's why it's there, in case you say, hey, one day if I want to edit videos, could this laptop do it as well? So that tag will indicate it for you. All right, next up is the Asus ZenBook Duo UX481. I think this laptop's awesome. And it packs a big punch. So it has the i7-10510U, an MX250 semi-dedicated GPU, 99% sRGB, and 63% Adobe RGB, all for under $1,000. You have 8 gigs of RAM. I would upgrade it to 16, get a little more performance, but that'll make it a little bit more expensive. Now, do know that there is a 4K version with even more performance for video editors, as I was mentioning about video editing. So if you're, anticipate doing some of that in the future, you're going to want to get that 4K version so you get more GPU power and more processor power. Next up is the MacBook Air M1. Man, these were exciting when they launched this year because of many reasons. And if you want to know the reasons, my personal reasons, I'll link a few YouTube videos up in the YouTube cards above, and you can check out why I think they are so good. But for now, let's just talk about the fact that it has 100% sRGB, 78% Adobe RGB, and you're in the Mac ecosystem for around $1,000. You get the new M1 chip, 8-core GPU, 8-core GPU, 16 gigs neural engine, and 8 gigs of unified memory, which basically means the memory is sitting right up on the chip, which makes it even faster. That 8 gigs is actually better than the standard 8 gigs of RAM in some of their older laptops because it has quicker access. The CPU can access that RAM faster, which makes it more efficient. All right, so here are my honorable mentions for the budget category. We have the HP 14 business laptop, the MSI Modern 14, the HP Pavilion X360, the Lenovo Legion 5. If you're somebody who's like, man, I'm going to be getting into video editing, the Lenovo Legion 5 is the best one in the budget category. And I know budget really isn't $1,000, but I categorize budget anything below $1,000. And then we have the Acer Spin 5, which has great color accuracy and is an awesome laptop as well. If you're enjoying this video and getting some value, ever so gently, just press down on that like button and drop a comment on how you plan on using one of these laptops within the graphic design field. I want to know what you guys are doing, what you guys are working on, what projects you have in mind. I'm super curious. Let's get back into the video. Next up, moving into the $1,000 to $1,500 range, we have improved technical capabilities, improved color accuracy. You're going to be able to access the full Adobe design and video editing suite with these. They're also going to be strong contenders for motion design and video editing. Higher quality build materials, more RAM equals better multitasking, more storage is less need for external backups. All right, so first one on the list is the HP Omen Ryzen 7. This is a fantastic laptop because not only does it have great performance, it has some aluminum elements in the build, but it is a great color accurate laptop for a gaming laptop. So if you're somebody who likes to game and you're a graphic designer, this laptop would be a great fit for you. It has 8 cores and 16 threads inside of the Ryzen 7 4800H. GTX 1660 Ti, which has 6 gigs of VRAM. As you get more gigs of VRAM, it means it's a more capable GPU. It's able to produce not produce better graphics. It's able to produce graphics faster and more efficient, and it's just a stronger GPU. 16 gigs of memory. You have 512 gig SSD, and of course that much better color accurate display. So what you're going to see here with this laptop is going to be smooth video editing, and then also more color accurate for designs. The MacBook Pro 13 M1. So again, this has the same chip as the MacBook Air, although it does capitalize on that chip better. So I've been hearing rumors that the MacBook Air doesn't use the full capability of the chip. I don't quite know why. You can do your own research on that. That's just a rumor I've heard. Where the MacBook Pro M1 takes full capability of that chip. I think the main reason would be is the MacBook Pro has a fan to keep it cool, where the MacBook M1 doesn't. So I'm guessing it uses thermal throttling, so where the CPU doesn't get peak performance as it could in order to keep it cool. And it also uses a coil, so it uses like a heat coil, where this one has the fan, so it kind of has more capability to keep it cool, and you get more performance out of it. That's my guesstimation. You can do a little more research for yourself if you so choose. The Acer Concept D3 easel. This is, in my opinion, the best 2-in-1 laptop on the market. It just, man, I used it at CES, and it just really is a solid, well-built 2-in-1 laptop. The hinge is super strong. The magnetic connection point on the back is really strong. The screen is clear and crisp. The keyboard soft and smooth. It's got a good key press. It's got an aluminum build quality, and it's got tons of ports. So your accessibility with ports is very good. All right, comes with the i7-10750H, GTX 1650, 16 gigs of RAM, 99% sRGB, and 79% Adobe RGB. Moving up there in the color gamut range, not absolutely killing it yet, but this would make a great computer for an artist or video editor, or motion graphics or graphic design or photo editor, whatever it might be. It's a solid laptop, especially if you're like somebody touching up maybe photos or you're doing some digital art. It's a great pick. The Asus ROG Strix G15, this laptop is a beast in performance. So if you're somebody who's going to be gaming and graphic designing, this could be an awesome laptop for you. It has the RTX 2070, the i7-10750H, 32 gigs of RAM, 98% sRGB, and 63% Adobe RGB. So we continue to improve that color accuracy. Again, these are not my absolute top picks for graphic designers because we've not seen above 70% Adobe RGB on any of these laptops. And I personally, if I'm going to be designing, I want to see 100% Adobe RGB, and we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. Why? All right, honorable mentions in the mid-range category: the Acer Predator Helios 300, the Microsoft Surface 3, the Asus Zephyrus G14, and the MSI Prestige 15. Love this laptop here. This is still lacking the full color gamut range of Adobe, but we're getting much closer. As you see, that one has 100% sRGB and 78% Adobe RGB. Moving forward to the $1,600 to $2,600 range, powerhouse or niche use case is what we're going to see in this category. So you're going to see the highest performing laptops, the highest color gamut ranges. These are great in the Adobe Design Suite. They're great for video editing and motion design as well. And these are going to be premium laptops. So premium materials. You're going to have the most RAM, the most storage. That's what we're going to see out of these laptops. First up is the Acer Spectre X360. This is great for artists and photo editors. I really like this laptop. It has such a regal look. I've reviewed it recently and was very impressed with the capabilities as well as the build quality. We have the i7-10750H with a GTX 1650 Ti, 16 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte of SSD, and a 4K screen reaching 100% sRGB and 99% Adobe RGB. So this is the first laptop where we see it almost 100% Adobe RGB for just over $1,600. You can actually, when you buy this laptop, make sure you get the OLED version. The OLED version is what has this high of color gamut range. If you get a 4K screen and it's not OLED, you're going to have 100% sRGB. You're going to have 99% sRGB and around 78-ish% Adobe RGB. So get the 4K OLED if you want this color gamut range that you're seeing here. Next up is the Gigabyte Aero 15. Really, really good laptop. The reason being is it's amazing color accuracy, 100% sRGB, 100% Adobe RGB. It's Pantone validated out of the factory, so every laptop that comes out of their factory is validated and calibrated, and it has really, really good performance. So you're going to have the RTX 2060, so you're going to be able to run multiple external monitors or do video editing, and you have the i7-10750H. This laptop is a rocket ship, much like the Strix G15 you saw earlier. It's a very fast laptop. You'll have no problem with designing on this laptop. The reason that we move up into these more expensive laptops and they get more performance is because we want that color gamut range. We really don't need all this performance if you're only designing. But the problem is these brands only put the very quality screens on these high performing laptops. So that's the issue that we run into. So I've been trying to talk to brands about getting, just a good laptop for graphic design or photo editing and then a great screen. Like good specs, great screen. Like that's what I'm trying to get them to go towards, but we haven't seen it yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there closely. Just keep praying. All right, so the MSI Prestige 15 4K, the reason the 4K is on here as well as the Full HD one that you saw earlier in the honorable mentions is because the 4K laptop from MSI comes with 100% sRGB and 100% Adobe RGB plus 32 gigs of RAM. So everything's the same except it has 32 gigs of RAM and more color gamut range and a 4K screen. So note the differences there between the Full HD and the 4K. If you buy the MSI Prestige Full HD, you won't have this color gamut range. You will have the Full HD color gamut range, which is 79% Adobe RGB. So this comes with the 4K. Next up is the MSI Creator 15. This laptop, I like it a lot because it has a SD card slot. Praises and cheers for that. All right, so it comes with the i7-10875H, the RTX 2070 Super, 32 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte of SSD, and a color gamut range of 100% sRGB, 100% Adobe RGB. This laptop is so overkill for graphic design, but it's amazing. It's got performance, it's got color accuracy. It's a laptop that would grow with you. So if your career grows into motion design or video editing, this laptop will take you all the way through there. Next up is the Apple MacBook Pro 16 for all of my Apple fanboys and fangirls out there. This laptop comes with the i7-9750H, a 4 gig card, the Radeon Pro 5300M, 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gig SSD, 100% sRGB, 100% Adobe RGB. This is a graphic design beast laptop, and it can also do some video editing, of course. If you asked me, hey, Ben, I'm choosing between the MacBook Pro M1 and the MacBook Pro 16, I'm only doing graphic design, I'm only doing photo editing. MacBook Pro 13 M1 all day long. You don't need this much performance for graphic design. You just don't need it, especially since that M1 chip came out. It's just not necessary. However, if you want to grow in your career, if you want to move into video editing and motion design, then yeah, this is your laptop. But if you're somebody who's going to stick with graphic design and photo editing, just spend $1,200, not $2,200. All right, next up is the Microsoft Surface Book 3. I really like this laptop. It's a great laptop for digital artists because this disconnects and you can go on the go. It has 2 batteries, so it means you get 16 plus hours of battery life when the 2 are connected. So you have this tablet and the keyboard. It's a great laptop. I've used it around different shops that I've been in. I've never actually been able to do a hands-on review, but it's a great laptop for graphic design. It comes with the i7-1065G7, the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1660 Ti Max Q, 32 gigs of RAM, 512 gig SSD, a 4K screen, and it's got pretty solid color accuracy. Not amazing, but has 96% sRGB, 71% Adobe RGB. All right, so some honorable mentions in the premium category. The Razer Blade 15 4K OLED. That has the 100% DCI-P3 and 100% Adobe RGB. The Dell XPS 15, Asus ProArt StudioBook 15, ThinkPad X1 Extreme 3rd Gen, and the Microsoft Surface Book 3. You got an honorable mention twice. That was my mistake. All right, moving forward, here are the Photoshop laptop scores from the Puget Systems benchmark. The reason I run this benchmark is because Photoshop is the most intensive app in the Adobe's design suite. So if a laptop can run Photoshop well, that means it can run InDesign and Illustrator with ease. This is also a great test for, say, the Affinity Suite or Figma or Sketch. If one of these laptops looks really good in Photoshop, then it'll be great in those apps as well. So here, I'll leave it up here on a minute on the screen, or you can pause this video and then we'll keep moving forward. Actually, just pause if you want to keep looking so we don't waste too much time here. All right, moving forward, specs explained for graphic design laptops. The CPU, the GPU, the RAM, and the storage. Let's dive right in, and then after that, we'll talk about color gamut range and all the ins and outs of that. First up, the central processing unit. Budget laptops have mobile processors. So that's either the Intel G series or the U series, and they actually might, I don't know if they're discontinuing the U series, but I haven't seen any 11th gen U series in their announcements yet. But that's the G series or U series. Those are more mobile processors. They're going to have lower TDPs. They're going to run a little bit, they're just going to run slower. I mean, there's just no way about it. The H processors are going to be more of your like high performance and video editing processors. So with that in mind, you are totally fine for graphic design with a G or U processor. But if you want to future-proof yourself for video editing or motion design, then I would lean you towards an H processor, which we're seeing in most of the premium laptops. Okay, now for Ryzen. If you see a Ryzen U or H series processor, it's very, very similar to Intel. The U is the mobile processor, has a little bit lower performance, but fine for graphic design and photo editing and digital art. And the H series is more the high performance gaming and workstation processor. So for instance, you have the Ryzen 7 5800H versus the Ryzen 7 5700U. Make sure you identify the H when making a purchase if you are going to be doing video editing. If you're going to be doing graphic design or photo editing alone, the U series is great for you. All right, so mobile processors are often seen in business laptops, whereas H processors, like I just said, are gaming laptops and workstations. Mobile processors can often boost up to similar speeds as H processors, but they are unable to hold those speeds for as long, which is why gaming and 3D modeling and video editing, you want to use an H series because it can hold those peak performances. You don't need a lot of those peak performances when graphic designing or photo editing or digital arting, as it were. You're fine with the U series processors. All right, next up, let's talk about RAM, random access memory. So every time you open an application, it is going to pull away from your RAM. So if you have only 8 gigs of RAM and you open up a web browsing tab with maybe 5 to 10 Google tabs, as I always do, actually I have like 30 open normally, Photoshop and InDesign, you're going to be using anywhere from, 4, 3, 7, 7 to 5, 11, 15 gigs of RAM, depending on how much power or how much memory that needs during those tasks. So keep in mind, if you have 8 gigs of RAM, you may be pushing your RAM to the limit, which will slow down your computer and you'll have less multitasking abilities. So 8 gigs of RAM is the minimum that I would recommend in a graphic design laptop. And 16 gigs is my recommended, like, this is going to be great. It's going to be smooth for multitasking. If you're running InDesign, Illustrator, and Photoshop at the same time, you're going to have no problems. 8 gigs is the minimum. 16 is my recommended. Next up is the graphics processing unit. Do you need a graphics processing unit for graphic design? Hi, I mean, you're dealing with graphics, right? No, you do not. You do not need. I think they should be called video processing units because it's very confusing because people often think I'm working with graphics, so I need a graphics processing unit. Now, GPU is for video editing and motion design. It supports the CPU. So basically what happens is the CPU gets information from, what you're working on in your computer. Let's say, Premiere Pro or Photoshop, right? So it sends the information to the CPU. The CPU goes, oh, you're video editing or you're working in After Effects. You're doing motion design. Okay, let's send all that information to the GPU and let him deal with it. Whereas if you're in InDesign or Illustrator or Photoshop, it's like, oh, okay, there's not a lot of graphical processing happening. It's just a still image, static image on the screen. I got this. If you ever look in the task manager of your computer during your, while you're working in Photoshop, and then you open up and it says, component usage, you can see it's only using maybe 2 to at the max 9% of GPU, depending on the task you're doing inside of Photoshop. So GPU is not necessary for graphic design. However, if you do have like multiple external monitors, like you just have like a fleet of external monitors, a dedicated GPU will make that smoother and higher quality, and you won't have just lagginess in those screens. So that's the only reason dedicated GPU would be important for graphic design is you have tons of screens, but most graphic designers don't. They're gonna have 1, maybe 2 external monitors. So if you're editing a lot of footage for video editing, then yes, that dedicated GPU will help share some of the load from the CPU. If you're only doing graphic design, don't worry about the GPU. It will of course assist if you have it. It's not gonna harm. It's gonna be great. It will help you, but you don't need it, is my point. Next is storage, SSD versus HDD. So SSD is basically a big thumb drive. So it reads and writes directly onto the memory. There's no moving parts, whereas a hard disk drive has a disk, an arm, and an eye. So the disk spins, the arm moves, and the eye reads the information. So hence the different RPM rates. So if you ever see, you're looking at like HDDs and it says like 5,400 RPMs or 7,200 RPMs. That's the rate and speed at which the disk can spin. So the more RPMs means the faster it will be. Whereas when it goes to SSDs, you don't have those RPMs because it's reading and writing directly to the memory stick, so to speak, rather than to the disk. Now, the way I explain this is, let's say I want to look up a word. I want to look up the word ambiguous. So I have a thesaurus on my bookshelf. So I walk over to my book. Dang it, where'd my bookshelf go? I walk over to my bookshelf and I pick up the book and, I come back and I'm like, okay, obscurity. All right, there's what it means right there. Okay. Versus pulling out my phone and saying obscurity definition, search. And then immediately the answer is right there. So that's kind of the way I explain it. It's like manually going over, picking up a book, finding the answer versus doing a quick Google search of my answer. Hard disk drive is the manual. Solid state is the quick Google immediate search. All right, let's keep moving forward here. We have our color accuracy explanation table. All right, so I love this because this really helps unpack all the color gamut range questions. Color gamut is the amount of color your screen can produce. Delta E is a certification that clarifies the level of accuracy at which your screen produces that range. So you'll see Delta E, let's say less than 2, for example. So the range is going to be, let's say we have, right over here, we have Adobe. So here's Adobe. And it's covering this whole area here, right? Okay, so Delta E basically is what level of accuracy is your screen reproducing the range that it's reaching. So when a screen is calibrated to a Delta E less than 1 or less than 2, it's saying that the range that this screen can produce is accurate to this level. So the lower the number, the better accuracy of that range it's producing. Okay, I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, I'll need to make another video or you can comment below and I can maybe explain that farther in like a pinned comment. Now, RGB and CMYK are 2 different color spaces. Now, this is very important for graphic designers because your screen produces RGB, but when you go to print, you are going to be printing on CMYK. So red, green, blue versus cyan, magenta, yellow, and then I always forget what K stands for, but I know it's black. So you cannot reproduce screen colors to print. That's why if you want to make sure your colors are going to be very accurate to print, use a Pantone swatch book, and then hopefully your printer is Pantone like activated, so you can print that same exact swatch. So oftentimes I hear designers are like, man, I like look at my screen and then I go to the printer and it's totally different. That's because they're two different color spaces. All right, now let's jump into Adobe RGB versus sRGB versus DCI-P3. sRGB covers the smallest range. As you see here, the red line is sRGB. That's why for me, I say, okay, great, you can have 100% sRGB, but it's not covering the large color gamut range that Adobe RGB is covering. Adobe RGB covers the largest spectrum and leans towards the greens. So you see here, we have the Adobe RGB and it's getting a lot more green. See, this is the line where it comes down here and it cuts off. So it comes up. Oops, and then it comes down, and this is it covering more of the greens and the blues. DCI-P3 is also popular, but it covers a smaller range than Adobe. So as you see, here's DCI-P3, the blue one. But it leans more towards the yellows and reds. So depending on what you want, maybe you'll find a screen with 100% DCI-P3, but maybe only like 90% Adobe RGB. You're going to know that that screen is going to lean a little more red and yellow. Versus 100% Adobe RGB, it's going to lean more towards green and blue. And lastly, Adobe RGB is my go-to when recommending laptops for creative professionals. sRGB is good, but it's definitely so much smaller and will be ultimately less color accurate in the long run. So just keep that in mind. If you're curious about the exact pricing and availability of any of these laptops, you can head down in the description below and click one of those links. Remember, if you do make a purchase, I will get a small commission, but at no extra cost to you, and that's what keeps this channel alive and the helpful content coming your way. If you're curious about more videos for graphic design laptops, click or tap the screen over here. Otherwise, keep creating, keep designing. I'm Benji Kaiser, and I'll see you here on the next episode.